Dad was about 21 years old, and he owned a truck to transport livestock from Thorndale to Toronto, and hastily swept out the cattle truck, and then he loaded up a load of school children from Thorndale School, and he drove them into London to see the Queen.
The International Harvester building was right on the corner of York and Clarence, and I think we were in either the second or third window on the first floor, and we had a wonderful view. When there were, the place was just crowded with people. You could look out the window and see, ever so many people.
We were there about an hour and a half, and this limousine pulled up with Premier Rich Hepburn sitting in it, and naturally waved to us, and our Major Black sent word down the line to hold our fire, don't shoot. Of course, we didn't have any rifles anyways. I don't think he's very popular. I don't know. I wasn't into politics.
I was chosen by the City of London to represent the city, to present the flowers to the Queen Mother. Just prior to having some of these photographs taken before the Queen arrived, I had taken some scissors in when I had my afternoon nap and cut off the front of my hair. My mother wasn't very pleased with that, but they made it, arranged it. It was fine. It was fine, but she was very upset when she came in and found these gobs of hair lying on the floor. Thought I was doing a good job of getting ready, I guess.
The hands on the clocks moved to 9:50. The voice of the crowd, many of them standing on the roofs of nearby buildings, changed its tone. An undercurrent of expectation swept it from east to west, from side to side, so slowly that few noticed it, though they sensed it. The train arrived. The London Free Press.
Everybody was cheering as the train approached. That was most exciting. Everybody just yelled. That's what I can remember, is all the people cheering. And then the train stopped, and they were still cheering. And then Mr. Mackenzie King, our Prime Minister at that time, got off the train, and he's dressed in a morning coat and morning trousers and a top hat. And he went along beside the train, tipping his top hat. And I guess he was taking advantage of the crowd that were there, because he knew it would be filmed probably.
One gun ready, one gun, fire!
There's the first gun of a 21-gun salute that reached their Majesties.
We had taken our guns down into Victoria Park the night before and set them up. And then we fired a 21 Royal salute.
Six gun, fire!
And that was about every 30 seconds we pulled the trigger.
It was like a morning of brilliant sunlight. All of a sudden, the whole podium lit up with the arrival of the King and the Queen, because this is what we've been anticipating for many, many months. And both of them were radiantly attired in the proper outfit for the day. The King himself in an immaculate uniform, full dress, complete with sword and spurs, and the Queen, the gracious consort of the King, was there, radiantly beautiful in the appropriate dress with a big flowery hat on.
She was so pretty and so arresting. She had dark hair, and she had sort of must have been a chiffon dress, because it looked very, very soft, and this beautiful mauve hat. And I remember that the impression I got, she's so soft looking, so soft.
And all of a sudden, one man fell over, one of the soldiers fell over. And I was so upset because nobody on either side of them reached down to help him up, and I couldn't figure this out. But finally, somebody with a stretcher came by and did take him out on a stretcher.
On the arrival of the royal entourage, one of our members of the regiment, who was much older than the rest of us, suddenly fainted. And when he came to, the first thing he said, "The Queen, wasn't she beautiful?" The King arrived with his entourage and greeted our guard commander, who was Major W.J. Home, MC. Being number 7 in the guard, right front guard, I had the privilege of hearing the king say, "My, you have an excellent guard here, Colonel." And of course, we later all naturally thought that Major Holm would become a colonel.
The mayor shook hands with their majesties, and everyone presentable was presented, and those who weren't resented it, and will to their dying day. Everyone had almost a religious experience when the king and queen came to visit us. I wonder how they felt.
Well, I was a little bit disappointed that she didn't have her crown on. But, you know, children were very imaginative, and I thought she'd be wearing a crown and a big ball gown, but she was a beautiful person, and she leaned down after I had given her the bouquet, and she told me she had 2 young children at home that she was missing very much.
At the age of 3, I was taken to the CN station by my parents to see the King and Queen leaving the train and getting into that beautiful touring car. As the crowd oohed and awed, all I could see were lots and lots of legs. My father looked down at me and lifted me onto his shoulders so I too could glimpse the royal couple. And by then, they were sitting in the car. It was a sight I'll never forget. Pat Moore.
The Queen! The Queen was the cry from thousands of throats at the CNR station when their majesties prepared to enter the royal car for their triumphant tour of the city. The 4-mile stretch had been so designed that it would not be necessary for the royal cars to travel at anything but the minimum speed. The London Free Press.
Oh yes, all of us who had vowed we wouldn't rise early had to admit that night that we had done so. It seems most of us had let curiosity win out. We went to see a real king and queen, one with whom we were familiar only through the newspaper, radio, or newsreels. It was a pre-TV age. One didn't sit at home and watch royalty speak and move thousands of miles distant. Les Bronson.
I was a girl guide from Port Burwell. Our job was to line Pall Mall Street and act as guards. The king and queen went by in this big, beautiful car. It came so close we could have touched it. We were so thrilled. Some of the girls fainted because of the heat and the excitement, and we had to give them smelling salts. Shirley Wheaton.
Everybody was trying to wave their flags and cheer, and you know, the excitement was running very, very high. I had my little flag, and all the children had their flags, and it was just a real high point right at that moment.
1 minute the royal car was sliding smoothly under an arcade of maple trees, and then between Colborne and Waterloo Streets, His Majesty's smiling face became suddenly grave. He lifted his hand and the car stopped at his signal. A hush fell over the crowd as the following vehicles stopped in turn. The king and queen alighted from their car, and a deep roar of thankfulness and praise rose from 200 war veterans gathered on a special grandstand at the side of the road. The king had stopped for them. A nurse forgot to curtsy, and she blushed. A legless soldier crossed himself and prayed. And a 70-year-old veteran broke down and cried like a baby before my eyes. They had seen their king and queen. Roy Beamish, The Globe and Mail.